Welcome to the award-winning A Celtic State of Mind. I'm John Dykes, and this week I went to the penalty spot in Sword Street, Glasgow to meet a cult hero from the early 90s, Rudi Vata. Rudi's journey from the communist stronghold of Albania to Celtic Park is a unique rags to riches tale, and one that Rudi had the audience engrossed in. Now sit back and enjoy the remarkable tale of Rudi Vata. So Rudi, could you maybe explain the position you were in around 1991 as an Albanian international and the huge decision you made to seek asylum whilst on international duty?
Well, I was born in a country called Albania. Obviously, from 1945 till 1992, Albania was under communist regime, which means that we were born in a dictatorship country and we didn't have freedom. Freedom, I believe, is everything in life. Without freedom, I don't think you get opportunities. And those opportunities, they can make your future. So, as a young player in my country, I always dreamed to go and play in Europe. But because the country was so strict, it was very dangerous to maybe take that opportunity, because if you go away, then your parents, your family, they will have a lot of problem, a lot of trouble for them. In 1991, we were going to play France in Parc des Princes with Albania, and it was the right time for me to think that maybe I can try and escape, more or less stay in France as an asylum seeker and try and build my future. Simple as that. And that's what I did. We played France March 1991, Parc des Princes. After the game, I swapped the jersey with, at the time, Eric Cantona was playing in France, and it was obviously one of the main stars with Jean-Pierre Papin, Laurent Blanc, Platini was the manager. And what I did, I went to a hotel, I said goodbye to all my friends, and to the manager I said to him, obviously I decided to stay. I want to try and build up my life in a Western country, and France was the right place for me at the time because it was that opportunity. And what I did, I went to a police station. I only had I had borrowed $50 American from a friend of mine in Albania. I had $50 American in my pocket, a pair of football boots, a sport bag, a pair of jeans, t-shirt and a jacket. I went to police station and I said, I want to stay in this country to grow up as a normal human being and to be part of normal society. And that's what I did. I stayed there. I had a lot of, obviously, difficulties because I could not understand the language. I had no people to help. I went to a team called Le Mans. They were playing second division at the time. And they gave me that opportunity to train and to work with them. They see my potential, but in the meantime, I could not get the clearance from the Albanian FA because, well, at the time I was called an enemy of my country, a betrayer, because I went to a Western country, and obviously I asked to be a asylum seeker. So I was working every day with Le Mans in second division until I got the clearance after 6 months, and after that, obviously, started to play and to get involved in different games. In 1992, Albania obviously changed regime, so it was April 92, I think, a year after I left. So that meant that I was allowed to go back and play for my national team. And what I did was that national team manager, he invited me to go and play in Dublin. Albania played Ireland in June 1992. At the time, manager of Celtic was Liam Brady. Obviously, I was a young man, 22 years old, so I was playing for Albania in Dublin. Big crowd, John Aldridge, Paul McGrath, and Mick McCarthy, big national team. Ireland had a fantastic team at the time with Jack Charlton. Paddy Bonner was a goalkeeper. After the game, obviously, I had a very good game. I was voted man of the match. Young man, Liam Brady had seen in the team sheet number 5, young man, centre back. And after the game, he asked one of the FA secretaries from Albania to try and contact me and to kind of see if there would be a possibility to sign for Celtic. At the time was June 92. I had a couple good offers in France, the second division. But when Celtic came along and they says, well, I just got settled in France. I had started to obviously to learn the language. I made few friends. I was quite comfortable with life, and but that opportunity was something that I could not say no, because I remember Celtic since I was a young boy when they played Partizan Tirana at the time, and had stuck with me in my head these colors, green and white, Celtic from Scotland. And I say, yes, I need to speak to Celtic. I spoke to Liam Brady, and Celtic had gone in pre-season, I believe, in July in Cork, in Ireland, in Dublin. So he invited me over. I went to Paris, got a British visa, flew to Ireland, and August 92 I signed for Celtic. I became a Celtic player until June 96. So I played 4 seasons here with 3 different managers. I started with Liam Brady, then was Lou McCarry for a short period, and then Tommy Burns. So 4 great seasons, up and downs, some good times and bad times, but in the meantime was for me a special possibility, because I grew up a lot as a human being and also as a football player. I played with some very good players, and I learned a lot about life here, and that is a great bonus, And as I say, Celtic was at the time they were going through very difficult periods, financial problems. But 1995 was the icing in the cake. We won the Scottish Cup with Tommy Burns, and I believe 1995 was a very hard year, but was the year where Celtic started to build up the future, So because there was obviously the new stadiums was getting built, and Celtic started to sign some very good players: Van Hooijdonk, Andy Tom, George Cadet, and then Paolo Di Canio after. So you could see that Celtic is going towards good times, and as I say, the starting point, I think, was that cup final at 1995 at Hand.
I mean, what a journey to get to Celtic Park. Yeah. It's incredible. But as you said, you came to Celtic when they were in a kind of turbulent period, and you had change of management almost every season within your 4 years there. When Liam Brady brought you in, Rudi, I remember you being paraded to the press along with Stuart Slater and Andy Payton. Yeah. And Slater had cost $1.5 million, so big money. What was Liam's kind of plans? What was the blueprint for him when you arrived? Did he think that there was some way he could catch Rangers?
Well, I think Liam Brady had his philosophy about football. I think he was a pure football man. He liked playing football. He had fantastic career in Italy, so he played with the best players in the world in the Italian league. The Italian league at the time was the best league, like Spanish league now. And Liam, he had this philosophy that obviously he wanted to implement it in Celtic, but he didn't have enough resources. I believe the club had all those difficulties, and in my opinion, he was not given enough time. And when you say Stuart Slater, he was signed for £1.5 million pound. At the time was big money. Me and Andy Payton, I believe with him, we came for nothing, So Celtic didn't pay, I think, very little fee. They paid for me and very little fee for Andy Payton. But Rangers at the time, they were signing players like Laudrup, they had Mark Hadley, they had Basile Boli, they were signing Gascoigne, so we could not compete in those terms, Their salaries was much better. When Rangers got punished, we find out why they were so good financially, because obviously it was not fair. So at the time it was not fair. So they were doing tricks that Celtic was not doing. So, and they were buying top players, and they were obviously at the top, but they got punished later on, which to me made no sense, because it was not a fair balance. And as I said, Liam obviously was a proud man. He had achieved was a Celtic man because he was an Irish. He knew the history of Celtic so well. But in the meantime, was a clever man. For me, he was a very clever man. But he had not enough backing, and he had to go.
When you think about playing for the Celtic greats against the Rangers greats next Sunday, what's your memories of the real Celtic Rangers games that you were involved in back in those days?
Well, again, 1995 was the top season for me, I was playing out of my position. In my life, I always played as a center defender, was a defensive mid, my national team, wherever I played. The Celtic, I got used as a wide player, either in a wing or as a right back, but I was a determined boy. I gave everything what I had, and but playing Rangers 1995 again, we beat them 3-0 at Hampden, and one of the goals was scored by me. So we beat Rangers. There was a very good Rangers team at the time. As I said, Laudrup was one of the best players in Europe, and Gascoigne and Mark Hadley and Richard Goffs, all those guys there were players who were playing for national teams, and Basile Boli was also in a Rangers team at the time. So it was a great moment because, as I say, until then, to beat Rangers, such a big team, 3-0, was a big lift for Celtic fans and a big hope for the future. So I scored that goal, and obviously, for a right back to score a goal against the Rangers in those difficult times was very, very rare.
Now, going back a wee bit, I know Simon's got a different take on Lou Macari than a lot of other guys because Lou gave Simon his opportunity in the first team. When Lou Macari took over, Rudi, did you see that your future was still going to be at Celtic Park? Or?
Yeah, I believe so because I had I was going through a fantastic spell with Celtic. I was playing as a right winger. And then was a moment at Kilmarnock, was May 1994, I believe. I broke my arm first minute into the game. So it was a horrible kind of break, I still have scars all over my arm, And Lou Macari had put me in the office and says, obviously doing very well, and we want you to give you a different contract, obviously with better conditions. So, but after that game, obviously I was going to be out for a few months, and everything became cold. So Lou Macari obviously didn't need Rudi Vata at the time anymore because I was going to be out for a few months, and I never got what I was expecting from Lou Macari, but he never got much from Celtic either because a couple months after I think he was sacked. But with Lou Macari I was going through a good spell and I was doing quite well for the team.
And after everything that you had been through personally to get there, the takeover and the demise of the old board and Fergus McCann coming in, did that affect you in any way, or were you able just to switch off from that, really?
Well, when you are a football player, this is not part of your kind of plans, Obviously, it affects you if you want to find out every detail about what's going on in those times, but I was not too bothered about it because it was not my job to sort out those things, My job was to prepare myself and to be ready to play for the Celtic football club whenever they needed me. So to me, I could see the fans were frustrated. They had obviously their demands and they wanted changes, but they did what they did, and thanks to those fans, obviously they were determined to get what they wanted. Eventually they got what they want, and Celtic is here now in this situation because the fans knew what they want. They stuck with their demands, and they got obviously they got the results. Today Celtic is in this position because the fans are the main base for a football club.
Now, you joined in 92, and in 94 Tommy Burns took over. 3 managers in 3 years. I seem to recall you weren't a part of the team for a spell, but you came into the side to win the Scottish Cup. What was your relationship like with Tommy?
You need to understand every manager has got different opinions. They can see every player the way they like. Tommy Burns didn't like me at all from the beginning. And he says to me, you have to go and play for the manager who signed you. But at the time I was determined to stay there because I knew that maybe he don't like me, and fair enough, I am a football player, a professional football player, I have to accept that. But in the meantime I had a contract which allowed me to be at Celtic Park until 1996, June 96. So I say, okay, I'm not going to Brighton because Liam Brady wanted me at Brighton. I went there for a couple of weeks, and the feeling was not the same, It was Brighton, beautiful place, but the feeling I got waking up with going to Celtic Park was not the same. So I said, Gaffa, thank you very much. I say, I'm not going to take that opportunity. I want to stay here. And then one night, out of sudden, without knowing that I'm going to be part of that Celtic team anymore until my contract expires, Tommy Burns pulled me in the office. We were going to play Kilmarnock. It was a cold night, bad weather. He says, are you ready to play tonight? And it was Billy Stark, Tommy Burns. And I say, yeah, I'm ready. Why? Why are you asking me that, Gaffer? He says, because I watched you, he says, so many times, and I can see you work harder and harder every day. So I said, well, that's what I am here for, I can try and prove you wrong. I says, that's the only thing I can do. So I can maybe get that opportunity. And you believe in God as a man, and obviously people who work hard, I believe God always gives them that possibility. So what I did is, I knew that the manager doesn't like me, but I knew that I'm going to work hard and I'm going to change his opinion. That's what I did. I played against Kilmarnock. I had a very good game that night. 3 days after, we had semi-final of the cup against Hibernian. I played. It was first game we ended up, I think, nothing each. And I think we missed the penalty. We had the opportunity to score with a penalty, but at the first game, I had a fantastic game as a right back. The second game, we won, so we went to the final. And I think one of the crosses, Philodono scored a fantastic header, and started to play. And Tommy Burns says to me that, fantastic, you saved us a lot of money because we find the right back. And we ended up winning the league, the cup, 95. And that's it. Hard work, as I say, pays off. If you're determined, if you're focused, it doesn't matter. The manager don't like you. You could see yourself. Guardiola, he never liked Yaya Toure, yeah? So he says, do what? But then he played him because the player was good enough. The qualities were there. But what you have to do is behave as a professional. In this career, you are not going to get everybody to like you. you know. So as long as you believe in yourself and as long as you believe in what you want to do, you can do, then you can do it, you know. Because after Celtic, to be honest, after a great experience at Celtic, I moved on to different things. So I went to Germany, and to me, Germany is one of the countries that you can learn a lot about everything in life, you know. I played 4 seasons in Germany. But that experience at Celtic helped me a lot to be a kind of a better player, to be prepared for harder things in life. So that's what I achieved. I think being an Albanian, going through those circumstances, I think it's something. What I achieved is something special, you know. And nowadays people don't. And my children are born in Scotland, and when I tell them about freedom, that we didn't have the right to say the bread is not good, is not tasting good, you know, that was not allowed. We had no the right to wear jeans, you know, because if you wear a pair of jeans in our country at the time, this was called that bad signal. You think in West, so you have to be locked for 20 years if you wear a pair of jeans, say. And all those things that we went through, as I went through as a young man, as a young child, you know, the young generation nowadays don't understand, you know. But this is life, and I am glad I had those experiences, because those experiences taught me. They made me appreciate life, you know, and I think even though they were hard times, they were the best times, you know, because hard times always teach you great lessons, you know. Even Celtic, when you say at the time was going through difficult times, to me, I think I'm very glad I had that opportunity then, because I learned a lot about Celtic then. And nowadays, there are so many foreigners coming in this country. I believe they come and they go and they still don't realize for who they played for, you know. So at the time, I was the only foreigner with Darius Tovchik. At the time, there were allowed only 4 non-EU players in Scotland. So I learned everything from Scottish players, because Celtic was full of top players from Scotland. So you go there, you have Paul McStay, you have Charlie Nicholas, you have Peter Grant, you have Patty Bonner. They can tell you about Celtic, who's Celtic, what is Celtic, the history of Celtic, you know. So I'm glad I learned that, you know, and I'm glad I was part of this difficult period, and I got those special moments, you know, because nowadays Celtic is so big commercially, the club is totally transformed, you know, it's a big kind of company. It's not like it was at the time. At the time was a real family club, you know. Now it's something else. Life has changed so quick, you know, and but it's great to be a Celtic fan, and it's great to have that experience with these colours.
You mentioned before you remembered Celtic when they came over to play Tirana, is that right?
Yeah, Partizan Tirana. Yeah, it was 1980. I'm not sure, 1981 too. I believe I spoke to Danny McGrain. He said to me when we arrived in Tirana, they didn't let him in because he had a beard, so he had to be shaved before he crosses the border. So you're not allowed to have a beard, you're not allowed to have long hair, you are allowed everything. You had to be, obviously, you had to follow some rules to live in this country, and if you break those rules, you don't see the sunlight again.
Outrageous. I mean, you've left your mark, and obviously Celtic left an impression on you, Rudi. How did you get involved in the Celtic Greats games?
Actually, I got involved through Bobby Peta. Bobby Peta is obviously a friend of mine. He asked me one day, and would I like to play with Celtic Greats, and I say yeah. And then I spoke to Bernie. Bernie is a great guy, and and a great organizer, and I think and a very fair man. And I think those games are games that can remind you, obviously, and who you are, who you played for, and brings back lots of good memories. And for people as well, there are special moments because people can share a moment with us, and obviously we can feel important also for 90 minutes, even though it's not a professional game, but it's still a nice. We can go through some nice emotions.
How competitive is it when you're coming up against guys like Alex Ray and
competitive?
Bob Malcolm?
It's always competitive, because those guys they have that. To me, to be honest, I like to enjoy it. I don't like to have that hate. I don't hate anybody nowadays. Hate is a very bad feeling, and I don't like to hate. But I can see that still they hate us, and why they hate us? Why should we hate them? If you say that you're playing for the best club and you are the best, why you have to hate someone who's not better than you? So I think hate is not good. Leave hate, enjoy the moment. Respect the people, respect, because some people are paying to play, and some people are paying to come and watch. So it's good to win, and most of the time, I think 90% of the games we won them, and that makes it even better, tastier. So
absolutely. Do we have any questions from the audience? Anything that you'd like to ask Rudi?
Who was the best manager you worked under?
Who is the best manager?
Aye.
Well, I won the trophy with Tommy Burns, so I think
Got to be him.
got to be Tommy Burns. Manager who wins trophies, I think, are the best.
How do you think you'd fit in today's team?
Today's team.
Aye.
Today's team is, to me, it's a very good team. I like, or I want, or my wish is to see them doing very well in Champions League, because Celtic is such a big club, and all those players, they are doing very well in the league here. They're winning all the trophies which are available here, but they can do much better in European stage, because there are smaller clubs than Celtic which are doing not bad in European stages. If you see Casino Salzburg is a team from Austria, they were in semi-final of Europa League. But if you compare Celtic with Casino Salzburg, even when you see their players, they have none of them is better player than Celtic players have in their.
Fans will tell you that anyway.
So, but there is something not right there. The balance is not right. How can Casino Salzburg go and beat Lazio, say, in the quarterfinal, 5-1 or 4-1, and go to the semi-finals? I think Celtic can do that as well. It's very big.
You think they can do it under Brendan Rodgers?
Especially the fans we have, that is the player extra. The fans that make you that. When you hear a guy like Messi saying that I love to play in this stadium, so it says it all, So that's what I want to see Celtic. I am happy enough, but I am not happy enough in Europe. I want to see them, the green and whites in Champions League group stages, doing well there. Like Liverpool, they achieved. And even Liverpool, they are a great team, but Celtic is not far behind.
Any other questions from the audience for Rudi?
Germany's a great country as well. How did you end up back in Scotland after leaving Germany?
No, after Germany, I went to Japan. So Japan was 2003, so I came back. Japan season starts in March and finishes in December. So in December 2003, I finished my season in Japan. I was thinking, would I go back or not? And then I met up with Billy Stark. At the time was at St. Johnson. And Billy asked me to go and train with St. Johnson because I was doing nothing in Scotland. And after a couple of weeks, he asked me if he would sign for it because St. Johnson at the time. They were doing, Simon was there as well. And it was nice club, and because of Billy, more or less, I decided to sign for St. Johnson. And when Billy obviously was sacked because we didn't get promoted, and I had to go as well because I was also not willing to stay any longer. So that's how I ended up from Japan to St. Johnson, and that's it. I finished my career at 35 years old. I was lucky enough not to have any bad injuries. I was healthy. I had a couple more possibilities to move abroad again, but then my boy was born, and then I says just call it a day, and that's it.
Well, I'm sure you'll agree. Rudi's story is absolutely incredible, and it is unique when you think about how the journey from Albania to Celtic Park, and it's obviously left a mark on Rudi. So, could you please give a round of applause for Rudi Vata?